Hello everyone and welcome to another Daily Muppet. Today's video I really just want to cover mostly talk about the game a little bit that occurred and the one upcoming, but mostly I wanted to speak about the Enzo Fernandes situation because it continues to be under discussion. It continues to be something that comes up and there's a lot of information here that's worth discussing on this situation. Some of it, unfortunately, given what's going on at United right now, is a little bit frustrating, but I want to talk through the whole situation and explain a few things because I believe that I've had a very good and working line to this from the beginning here, or at least for the last few weeks since I've been asking about this in terms of what's going on, and there's been a bit more behind the scenes than what has actually been put out there. Obviously, first, just to briefly touch on it, United's game earlier this week, first Premier League game back since the World Cup, was really nice. Getting to see Rashford, Martial, Antony, the front three, are kind of almost all first choice outside of the back line, was excellent. I want to say, and this will pertain to something later, I've been really impressed again with Wan-Bissaka. I tweeted about it a few times, but he's done an excellent job the last two games, showing he's more than capable of when he was out, people really kind of revised his talent level. He's a lot better than he gets credit for because of sometimes the way he plays is not very aesthetic. But his ball control, passing, movement, all of that was quite good in filling into that right back, sort of inverted right back role that Erik ten Hag has been having Dallo in, and he's done an excellent job. Luke Shaw filling in at center back was fantastic, just like Casemiro was filling in the game before. So really good to see all of that happening. A good win. United need to carry the momentum forward. They look a little fresher. They look a little better to go. And obviously Rashford is absolutely firing again. Martial's staying healthy multiple games in a row. That's good to see. It helps us a lot. So that's good. All right. So given that, one of the things that I know for sure is that this midfielder situation has been something that's been upgraded to being viewed as incredibly important. I think Erik ten Hag has had the same concerns that some of what we've seen in the midfield with that Bruno, Casemiro, Eriksen midfield, which is that Eriksen in that deeper role doesn't get to do as much as he should, doesn't quite have the legs for it anymore. And in the long term, if you really want to complete that midfield, you want that engine in the middle between Casemiro and Bruno, who's moving the ball, setting the tempo, getting things going, but is also pressing, but is also defending, but is a real true box-to-box all-arounder. And there are not that many in world football. So you're seeing the names, obviously that's why De Jong, that's why Jude Bellingham, and that's why, of course, Enzo Fernandes. So I think Enzo Fernandes is one of the most unique profiles in the midfield. And there's other names, as I mentioned, that fit the profile that maybe aren't as good, like Benacer, who's more likely to sign a contract, but is on United's radar just in case. That is the profile. They're essentially what I call better Freds. They're better passing, they're more secure with it, but they do what Fred does in terms of bringing energy to the midfield, pressing, defensive work, all around, tracking back. They do all of it. And I think that is what United really need in the midfield. Obviously, needing a striker up front is without a doubt, but that in the midfield, in that midfield position, I think are the two biggest concerns by far. And Ten Hag and the United team seem to agree. So, with regards to Enzo, one thing that I have here is that just to give a little explanation, there are times when I get information that I'm asked, in a sense, when I get it, or told, or advised, or said, probably keep this quiet for right now, simply because it's in the best interest of the club. And that was the case with some of this Enzo Fernandes information. So what happens when I do this is I put information in the Patreon. Now, people get uptight about that because obviously it's like paying money for info and things like that. But it's a simple fact. I could put it nowhere, or I can put it in somewhere like that. That's more private, that is paid, where it's not being seen by hundreds of thousands of people, and it tends to work. And the reason for that is at times United do things pretty quietly. And there are certainly instances where it's better not to put it out there. And I think specifically, if you look at this situation with Chelsea, and then I'll dive into all the information, all summer, Todd Boehly and Chelsea were basically looking at targets that other clubs were going for and then going and buying them and going for them and throwing offers and things like that. They did it all summer. And it seems the same with Enzo Fernandes. Enzo Fernandes was not on necessarily Chelsea's radar a month ago as a player they would be looking to buy in January. It was on Liverpool's, it was on Madrid's, and it was on United's, but they were keeping it fairly quiet. So what I was told was to upgrade United's interest to Enzo to serious, and that United had actually proposed a deal already. This is not a bid, and this is, again, another reason they like to keep things quiet. They do this all the time. Like take Casemiro, it seemed like it happened in a week. They've been talking about it for months. They keep things quiet when they're trying to avoid failure and rejection, but also in order to prevent other clubs from jumping in. So what I was already told was they had an offer rejected, not like a bid offer, not in these huge major direct talks, but they had made a proposal to Benfica already for Enzo Fernandes that was somewhere in the range of 100 million in regular installments, with the payments likely not even starting until summer, with maybe an initial down payment in January that they could afford. And Benfica rejected this, and I did. It was hard to understand because you don't know where the money's coming from. But it was obviously this is a summer purchase. This was a summer purchase, and they felt it was important enough that they wanted to try to get a jump on it before anybody else was. I was told the stuff from Liverpool was nonsense in terms of pre-agreement, contract, all that. That's obviously been proven true. That is not true. That is not. Liverpool were not advanced in it or anything like that. But at this point, United were serious contenders, the most serious. And then reports started coming out from people, from good South American sources, about United being in the lead. And but there was no reports, obviously, from England. They're still not talking about it. One of the troubles you have and have had for years with reporting is in England, they only report things technically when they're told a lot of the sources, and it tends to be later for United, and then it's very sure. But it usually pops up in the other country and then comes to England, but they don't like to talk about it until they think it's going to happen or they have a good chance. But they're worried about having it fail, worrying about being gazumped and all that, which is essentially what's occurring. There had been multiple offers from multiple clubs to buy Enzo Fernandes, with United being one of them, and then Chelsea were perhaps another that had popped up, and now they have moved forward into the race. But what was really interesting is what I was told during this whole time is that United had put an offer forward, that Enzo Fernandez's camp and his agent had let United know that he would prefer to move to them over the other clubs that were interested in talking to the agent. And preference is a preference. People would say, well, it's a preference that is not going to reject moves to other clubs. No, it's a preference. If you prefer United, but they don't come in and make a deal, are you going to go to Chelsea or stay at Benfica? Probably you're going to go to Chelsea. And that is the concern. So Chelsea are apparently bringing a huge offer. Benfica want the whole clause paid up front from Chelsea in order to make a deal. That's what they've indicated. They don't seem willing to bend on that yet, but I don't know how to predict that. If it waits till summer, United would have much improved chances. The problem with all of this is, so when it comes down to it, is we would prefer a move to United. They made an offer a while ago, was rejected. They don't have the money to pay and compete with Chelsea on terms of the terms of a deal upfront, paying for Enzo Fernandes, but he is viewed as an extremely key piece. And the reports today are finally starting to eke out there that from Simon Jones, that United are very interested in him. From Matteo Moretti, that United are very interested, that they're up there, that they're weighing up a proposal. The problem is that's old news. That's why I'm concerned. It's sort of, we're still alive in the race, but it's old news. Benfica thought United would be coming back with a big offer to get the deal done and expected United to be leading. It's been that way for about 10 days, 12 days now, and United have not yet come back with an offer because I don't think they can. I don't think they can compete in that instance. They could come back with an offer and try again, but I don't think they can compete with Chelsea in terms of paying the buyout clause. Maybe they wait and see if Chelsea get a deal accepted that is based on installments, and then they try to match it. Possibly, but it's tricky because the money isn't there. This would come straight out of summer, and obviously if the club are sold, then that makes it a lot easier, or when the club are sold, it would make it a lot easier. But it's a challenging situation. It's a thing. When I got the information, I was like, huh? Because United are obviously downplaying their financial wherewithal. They don't have the money to spend in January. They're looking at loans. They didn't want to buy Gakpo. And then I have certainty on this information, and then it all starts to come out. It was hard even for me to look at and understand in looking at the financials and saying, how could this be possible? But it's possible based on installments, and therein lies the problem. Without a takeover, without a cash influx, they cannot afford to pay the clause all at once. And so it's more likely they'll miss out to Chelsea, who have a lot more financial wherewithal. And so we've known about this for a little while, this Enzo situation, and I put it in prior, and then it moved very fast to Chelsea, and since then I've put most things out publicly. But I wanted to give that kind of the background there because, like I said, there's reports today, just looking at this, pulling it up now, that United are still in the race, that they're still interested, that they're still trying. And Benfica are still holding steady. So it's really a possibility for January for summer should Chelsea not get him. And then in addition to that, it's really a possibility for, they might be waiting to see what Chelsea do before making another move if they can. But it's really hard to see it within the framework of the finances. So right now, I don't expect it to happen, but do bear in mind, if Chelsea don't get it done, this is a player who would like to move to United and would prefer to move to United. I would hope something can happen. You would hope that somehow it can be delayed somewhere into January, where things in the takeover move forward more significantly, and somehow they find the money to get this done. But that's kind of where it stands at the moment. The reports you're seeing now about United considering another offer are kind of old. I've been waiting for that. I've been waiting for them to do it for a week to see if they can come back in with another offer, but it's looking very unlikely. They haven't been briefing about it, which makes me believe that they still want to keep it quiet, because probably they still don't feel like they can make the move and get it done, unfortunately. So that's kind of where it stands. So I'm not too encouraged by recent reports today, even though United are still alive. Really what it comes down to, will Chelsea pay the clause? If they don't, then United are still in the race. And they are, regardless of, and this is the type of thing, I have a lot of certainty on this specific information. Regardless of what's out there, United are likely not to say anything about it or not want it out there if they don't end up getting something done and he goes to Chelsea. And then obviously Chelsea are going to play it up as much as they can about how the player pushed for them and things like that. So that's what I've got there. The other piece of information, which is rather obvious, but when you consider the situation, Wan-Bissaka is a bit more likely to stay. There's been a deal on the table from Palace for quite a while. They're not too happy about that deal, but it's there. But he is more likely to stay right now, given the current situation of things where they're not... they don't have the money, and they would want to secure a right back before selling or letting Wan-Bissaka go, and they don't have funds to do that when they still don't have a striker, and they're still looking at options there, and they're still talking about João Felix being too expensive, even on loan. So if Atletico's demands come down on that, then João Felix continues to remain a possibility. Otherwise, I really don't know what's going to happen on the forward front right now, but something needs to occur there. I expect Wan-Bissaka will stay at the moment. And again, unless things move quickly in the takeover in January, there's likely not much activity that's going to be happening. But keep an eye on the Chelsea and Enzo thing. If Chelsea pay that clause and get it done, obviously United can't compete. If they don't, then it's one to strongly keep an eye on in the coming months and into summer, because it is a serious interest to United and something they'd really be looking at. But they don't want to appear to miss out, and they don't want to give anyone else a leg up on them. So that's what I've got regarding Enzo Fernandes. If I have more information coming up soon, I will let you know. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications on, and I will see you in the next one.